Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome to Barcelona for round 2 of our 9th season here at Aero League Racing's GT top tier division. My name is Webbo. I'm here to take you through tonight's race proceedings as usual, and I can see that the cars are already beginning their first outlaps for this 10-minute qualifying session that will set the grid for our 15-minute sprint race, which in turn will inversely set the grid for our 40-minute feature race, which will be, of course, the reverse grid of the finishing order from the sprint race itself. So BX Royal is the first out on track in the mint green and white blend Ferrari. We are joined by Deck Paint in the Mercedes tonight, and also we've got following him then Mackie Skirkin BR4, Owen Williams, Marco, Viking Dog, Lars. Below them, on track at the moment, Raya Chan, Sick Boy, Zerbo in the new livery on the Peugeot, and Leper in the Alfa Romeo, that beautiful dark red and white livery. Well, let's join BX Royal, as he was the guy who got out of the pits first of all. We are on the no chicane layout at the Catalunya circuit here in Barcelona, and we are powering down towards the first turn to try and get ourselves a good lap. Of course, the best opportunity here for BX Royal, clear open track in front of him, everybody else on track, so no one's going to come out in front, and down we go into turn 1 and into turn 2 as we go back uphill towards the turn 3 long right-hander. Lean heavily on that rear left, and that will be a feature throughout the race. We lean all that tiny bit too heavily through turn 3. And you'll see cars compete, certainly in the first laps of our races tonight, into turn 4. Really struggling to catch up with the car here. BX Royal on this opening lap, suffering tremendous understeer. Let's see if that continues, or he can generate some temperature into the tyres. You can see, whoa, absolutely not, as he fights with the car through the right-hander of turn 5, the almost hairpin, and now you really need to take this very steadily through turn 7 and 8, because it's very easy to invalidate through there. Turn 9, again we're going to be leaning on that left front and left rear on the way through turn 9. Picked up a half-second penalty, that's half a second off throttle in the race, but it will be deducted from his qualifying time. Down we go into turn 10 then, very tight hairpin with a big stop, so lots of opportunity to make the overtake, and then we go through turns 11 and turn 12. Long right-hander before, of course, the traditional route through 13 and 14 to finish the lap. Around the final corner then for BX Royal. We'll join another driver soon. Let's see what kind of time he's managed to get out of those soft tyres. That is good enough at the moment only. Well, for 13th, of course, he was disqualified as a result of that time. Mackie Skirkin got in the first fastest time on a 140.984. Let's see where the rest of our drivers are feeding through. Owen Williams has declined that run. Sick Boy will also have a problem. Marco's gone fastest over Viking Dog as our Italians strike early in qualifying. That is Marco versus Viking Dog. Zerbo's gone into 3rd. Lars, a 7th place, 1.6 seconds off the pace. Leper across the line into 8th place, 1.8 seconds off the fastest time, as Raya Chan is now attacking his next lap. Let's go back up then to the top of the order and see how Marco is handling the car. Only 83 hundredths of a second, 83 thousandths of a second I should say, faster than Viking Dog. And I'll talk you through the results of last week and how the standings lie after one round in between sessions maybe. And fighting with the car yet again, obviously a very tricky, challenging situation here for the drivers that really don't want to take too much out of those soft tyres, because they will perform their sprint race on the tyres in which they qualify. And again, huge understeer, perhaps a little late on the brakes to boot, but really the track not gripping up just yet for our drivers. This is the top tier of racing, believe it or not. It is just that low grip right now. Of course, they were also complaining bitterly about the lack of grip, about the amount of degradation earlier on in the afternoon. So that is a big big swing from what we were seeing before. Dark clouds overhead, could be very cool temperatures that is preventing the drivers extracting the maximum. Into the pits then come most of our drivers here. Lars is trying to go around for the second hot lap, and he posts no better a time this time. It is only a, what is his time? A 1:42.0 was that last lap. He's going to run soft tyres for the next run, and let's see if Lars can move forward as the drivers in front of him are largely speaking back in the pits. Deck Paint, who we're just getting to know here. He's going slowly at the moment, so we will focus on Lars here, who's a little bit out of position, you have to say. I'll tell you who else is out of position. Reigning double champ Iggy. Where is Iggy at the moment? I haven't even seen him on the grid. Let's hope that he has been able to join. I'm not privy to the attendance channel, I don't think, at this point, so I'm not able to tell you whether Iggy will most definitely make an appearance or not. Let's have a look through the grid once we get through the second sector on board with Lars. Maybe the hint of a little bit more grip. We're nearly 7 minutes in to this 10-minute session, and it's a very sudden stop to qualifying here on Gran Turismo qualifying. It will be very, very quick indeed. So down we go into turn 10, and we are setting a personal best here at the moment, but not a purple time, which is signifies fastest overall. Marco, a 1:39.9. I did hear a driver, I think it was BX Royal, saying he could do a 39.2 on soft tyres, full with fuel as well. So the drivers will be burning off the fuel during this session. I'll be running as rich as possible to get through that fuel. And heading to the line then, Lars, he goes up to 6th on a 1:41.2. So where are our drivers? Well, we don't have Iggy at the moment. We do have BX Royal, who's at the tail of the field and hosting tonight's session. We'll certainly be hoping for better. Let's see if Marco can lower the bar then against Viking Dog on the next run. Presumably only going for 2 major runs here, as Owen has set a new personal best, it seems. He's gone up to 4th position. Waiting for the car to grip in through turn 3, and you are waiting a long time in these heavy GT cars. But a purple first sector is a nice way to start the lap. Extending at the moment is Marco. Let's see how is Viking Dog going as he goes on the Mazda. That is a purple time too, and that is so tantalizingly close to Marco's fastest time as well. They are nip and tuck between the two of them. This should be super close to secure that pole position. Overall, could well be we're not going to see reigning double champ Iggy. Let's wait and see if he shows. But that is certainly going to be a very big loss to our race if Iggy is not around. An opportunity perhaps for the other drivers, especially those who are looking at their overall ALR rankings. So where is Viking Dog? Just behind on track. Marco coming through the final 2 corners then. And Craig just confirming there that Ziggy, among others, is missing tonight. Here comes Marco to the line. Marco with 39.9 is his fastest time. Viking Dog beaten that time, couldn't get through turn 10 successfully. So Marco steals ahead, a gap onto pole position. There's only about half a minute to go. Where is Owen Williams? He set a good time, but he's in 6th at the moment. Mackey's showing well in 4th. BX Royal got himself all the way up to 3rd position, and he has managed a 1:40.0. Very, very close indeed. But as Craig points out, not only is Iggy missing, but so is Zimi, Caplero and CMP. So these drivers wanting to gather those points as quickly as possible. Who is that trailing around at the tail of the field? That is Viking Dog, and he's very late to start this next lap. In fact, he's ticked over. He will not perform any better, but Raya-chan goes 2nd place and moves himself forward up into that front row, 58 thousandths of a second away from Marco's time. Let's see Marco then down the back straight towards turn 10 and the 2nd sector timing beam as he goes towards it now, but he has set a penalty time that is slightly quicker, but I don't think this lap is going to count. That's a half-second penalty to pay. Raya Chan, let's see, as he goes through 9, can he extend that gap or not? Those clouds looking very threatening overhead. Down towards the timing, and it's faster by a good chunk. Raya Chan looking to steal the pole position on the final opportunity here. Let's see if he can just maintain that kind of performance as we go through the final few corners. 2 to go then. And one more trip across. It's looking neat and tidy so far. Don't go too greedy towards the line. You had a half a second up on anybody else. Raya Chan to pole, and he's just tempered that one by a 1/10.5, but 3.5 tenths faster. Raya Chan from Brazil completes that beautiful pole position. The Renault RS 01 GT3 scoring pole tonight for our result. Tremendous from our drivers. Raya Chan, a 39.5, a very, very handy time, and there is your top 8. BR4, Marco, Viking Dog, BX Royal, Zerbo, Mackies, and Owen will have the best run into those first few corners and the best opportunity to score as big as possible in this sprint race. So, just to underline then the current championship position while I've got the opportunity, while the race is being started. Well, I've barely got the opportunity. Viking Dog is on top with a first and second place last week on 39 points to Marco on 28. So we are very close indeed. I'm going to skip back to all of that later on because it's time to get underway for our sprint race here. Raya Chan from BR4 in the end, who got himself up onto the front row. The Italian pair that are leading the championship, 3rd and 4th in reverse order. And it's dropped the clutch and go, go, go. A really nice start away from pole position. And it leaves BX Royal defending hard down the way, the long run down into turn 1, and doing so fairly successfully. We've got 2 wide, 3 wide at the back, possibly even 5. Down into turn 1 they go, and BX Royal defending that second place. BR4 into 3rd position, and then we have a real melee going on into turn 3. Surely someone's gonna have to see that we're gonna have trouble coming through turn 3 and into turn 4. But it is Marco, Zerbo, Viking Dog still fighting hard for that position on the turn 4, and Zerbo claiming the inside. But if Viking can hold on all the way to turn 5, then he will have the opportunity down onto the inside. Let's have a look down here, and Viking Dog does hold on behind Marco. And beautiful start from Raya Chan. BX Royal holding on, and BR4 moving forward. Marco and Viking Dog trying to consolidate those positions as they're still competing into a very difficult portion of the track. Turns 7 and 8. The Jaguar of Sick Boy just nosing ahead of Owen Williams in the sister Peugeot, but a brutal start for some. Leopard down at the tail of the field there, but so far so good for our leaders as BX Royal outbreaks himself down into turn 10, and BR4 will have the opportunity to try and get on terms, but it's actually Marco sneaking up the inside now. BR4 holding it round the outside, but the next 2 corners are both right-handers too. Marco trying to bullishly claim that inside position, but BR4 round the outside claims 3rd place once again, and hard fought in the Huracan as he now looks to power down the main straight, but Marco will be close behind, very close behind. Let's join him on board as we look to get everything sorted out. That is Marco going down the outside. Look for the half a second penalty on the Ferrari on the inside, but braking way too late is Marco. The Ferrari being passed back by the Lamborghini Huracan, and getting a little sniff from behind as well from Viking Dog as Maki Skirkin enters the fray in the Genesis X, looking to get in the mix with the championship leaders here. And it's Viking Dog fighting hard down the inside. He knows there's a wounded, penalised driver in the McLaren there, and still Marco trying to hold on, but he is losing in a big way this lap. Mackey's coming round out of turn 5 on a good run. He'll be super close when in his super dry liveried Genesis X, but Rayachan is getting a good jump here because BX Royal and BR4 have both had issues on that first lap. Look for the slow down lap now for the McLaren as he suddenly goes off throttle, and it's as if he's trying to parachute out the back of the car. Down they go then. P3 and 4 still battling. Viking Dog trying to get on terms, trying to get himself all the way back up towards the battle for third and second positions now, as Rayachan, he had the pole lap, and he's also got some tremendous pace away from lap 1. We have Rayachan, BR4, BX Royal, Viking Dog, Mackies, Owen Williams, Sick Boy and Lars, your top 8 as it stands. Still nose to tail for the majority of the midfield, but BR4 and BX Royal holding on to that podium position. The Jaguars are both together. Sick Boy leading Lars at the moment in the F-Type Group 3, as trying to come around the outside is Marco once again, still really suffering on this early lap. Is Marco on a different set of tyres? He's not. I think the whole grid have gone for soft tyres. Zerbo was all over the place coming through that turn, as he's now defending hard from the GoPro sponsored Mercedes of newcomer Deck Paint. If you're wondering what he's got himself signed up for, as Marco round the outside again, losing out another position, just can't get this car stopped. The McLaren 650S just not able to turn in at the moment, and he cannot get the temperature in those tyres, really struggling along. Leper has moved forward up to 12, Moosh is down into 13 in the sister Huracan, but leading our field down into turn 10 once again is Rayachan, BR4, BX Royal, Viking Dog and Mackies, hoping to try and get a gap now. Mackies on 6th place, Williams, Owen Williams mirrors full of Jaguars at the moment. And reminder, it is a 15-minute sprint race, so we're just on the 1/3 distance. They're going to have to do a lot of tyre saving on the left of their vehicle. The left-hand side tyres are really going to struggle. But I tell you what, BX Royal is tucked right underneath the rear wing, and he's going to try and have a look at the Huracan over the course of the next lap or two. Yeah, RX Vision looking fabulous once again in this livery. Mackey's taking it steady now, trying to bring that car home. He's suffering extreme wear on the front left at the moment. Really going to have to rein that in towards the end of the race if he wants to make it in one stint. Looks like everybody else at the moment going for those soft tyres, so no one is going different. Well, Deck Paint has gone to a different approach, but he's suffering for pace at the moment. Later in the stint, look for Deck Paint, who's currently in 12th, to have the pace on the rest of them as he can keep pushing those tyres. Look at the difference in tyre wear already between 12th and 13th place. Rayachan then in the pink and white Renault with an anime inspired livery, if I'm not mistaken. 2.5 seconds in the lead after only 4 completed laps. Fantastic so far, and the fastest lap at the moment, a 39.8 on the race. Third place, BX Royal. Looks very close from some camera angles, but isn't within striking distance by any stretch of the imagination. Owen Williams starting to catch Mackies in the Genesis ahead. It's right on board with Owen as we try and see where Mackies is saving those left side tyres, especially left front. But actually, it looked like Owen doing a little bit more saving through turn 3. Turn 4 as Mackies drifts a tiny bit wide. You just have to stop being greedy on for every apex and top speed through the highest minimum speed through the corner. to try and get the car home. There you see Mackey's really struggling through the right-hander, surprisingly. But he'll be looking behind him, I think, for the time being, more than he's looking in front of him. As here is Owen Williams then. This is the Peugeot RCZ. We ride inside and on board. Looking for a chance then down to turn 10. No way through at the moment for Owen. Sit on the bonnet. And the Jaguar still of Sick Boy. Super close here to making this a three-way fight for 5th place. Raichan though, still in the lead. We'll have a quick look then and see if BX Royal is any closer this time. He is pretty close here. Should get a good slipstream. Certainly the Huracan, driven by BR4, is nervous. BR4 though, historically always incredibly strong on the brakes. If a little greedy sometimes on the braking performance. Mackey's hanging on once again as the race enters a slightly calm phase here, as the drivers are very cognizant that their tyres will not hang on, pushing a 10/10 for the entire duration. We think it's going to be a 9-lap sprint overall over the 15 minutes. We are past 9 minutes already, so potentially 3 to go. Viking Dog, surprisingly, not exactly on the tail of this group just yet. It's just starting to get there. Keep our eye on the lead group, but at the moment it looks like Mackey's versus Owen versus Sick Boy is the run here to look out for. Looks like a Homer Simpson helmet for Owen Williams, so props for that one. Peugeot looking pretty good in that livery. I have to say, still prefer the Mazda at the moment. The distinct car's always looking good though, you have to say. Always looking the part. Distinct team. Let's just move up the grid slightly and see if BX Royal is close enough. He's still 0.6 of a second away from 2nd place. Viking though bringing himself closer within, and here comes the Jaguar then with obviously a really good run. Jaguar of Sick Boy on the inside down into turn 1 against Owen Williams, and the Jaguar coming through very cleanly, but shredding through that front left and partially through the rear left as well. And they're going to pay for this towards the end of our race as the clouds continue to look incredibly threatening. Sick Boy with a minor look down the inside as they head into turn 4, just reminding Mackey's that he's there, as Marco looking to move forward, but aware of the fact that there's a reverse grid race coming, paying more points, so he might well be thinking of that eventuality on its way. So while we keep an eye on the race, I can tell you that Viking Dog leads, as I mentioned before. Viking Dog leading the championship, I should say, and he is leading that from Marco by 11 points after the first week of racing. Caplero and Iggy missing tonight. Raichan down in 6th position, only on 22. Let's see, I think that's going to change shortly. Here we go then. Down the inside tries the Jaguar, trying to rub wing mirrors, and 3 abreast they go. Down towards turn 1. Is Marco going to pounce on all of them in one go? A good line there from the Jaguar, but he braked a little bit too late. Owen Williams losing out in a big way, but Marco brings himself right up to 5th position with a masterful move, placing the car to perfection on the inside, and thankfully for him, the Jaguar running wide, so Marco moving forward moving up with a minute and a half to go of this sprint race. Couldn't have timed that one any better. Here is Owen in the Peugeot down the inside of Sick Boy's Jaguar, but getting all out of shape on the way out. Starting to really suffer with the tyre grip when we're leaning on the tyres. Let's see, BX Royal, is he any closer potentially to BR4? I think not. Well, yes he is, because he was so close I couldn't even see him on the camera. BR4 defending to the inside, getting all sideways. BX Royal right there with him, because BR4 has already hit completely into the red zone on the front left. He said as long as he's got tyre grip on one side of the vehicle, he will be able to keep running and he can keep handling the car. But at the moment, this is far from easy for him. Raya-chan has put in a brilliant performance with tyre saving as well, and coming out of the final corner then is to start potentially what we believe to be the final lap of the race. BX Royal with the nose ahead should have the better braking performance, going deep down into turn 1, and indeed getting the nose and tail well ahead as they get towards the apex of turn 1, feeding into turn 2, still defending slightly on the way into turn 3, but he knows that BR4 has been struggling. Will BR4 lean on the Ferrari on the way into turn 4? Not quite. He's going to be struggling to get himself down into the apex neatly, rocking the Ferrari era Alonso look in the cockpit. Viking Dog is in a similar tyre wear situation. They've all decided to swallow this really bad final lap for the sake of running the softs the whole race through, and down the inside then tries Viking Dog to get himself up onto the podium and completing the move. I'm not quite sure if there was a touch or not there. I think there must have been, given the flashing lights from BR4. Viking Dog muscling him his way up into P3, and BX Royal with a little bit of clear air now. Marco for the Distinct team in the McLaren manufacturer well away in 5th position. Mackies holds on for now. Then Sick Boy and Owen Williams, Leper and Zerbo, Moosh and Deck Paint is your order. Deck Paint getting a penalty when he's just got the tyre advantage, but coming out of the penultimate corner with the yellow headlights ablaze, it is Raya-chan. Raya-chan who just will sneak this one through to win the race and make sure it's a 9-lap race by about 8 seconds. BX Royal wins. Comes into 2nd place and wins that podium battle. Viking Dog securing 3rd, and BR4, Marco and Mackies. Sick Boy, Owen Williams deposed to the tail of that group by the end. Leper in 9th, Zerbo in 10th, Moosh, Deck Paint and Lars, I think will complete your 13 runners and riders, but it's Raya-chan who scores the win in the sprint race, and of course he'll take the pain for starting at the back from that one, but he won't mind, because full points awarded for the sprint for him, and great early performance overall. Marco apologising for his poor connection, which is nice of him. Pole position and victory, so a bonus there. I think he might have had the fastest lap as well, but we will wait for confirmation on that one. But tremendous performance from Raya-chan in both sessions so far, but winning by 5 seconds could still put him as a strong favourite here for the feature race. That was a very strong performance. Confirmation, he got the fastest lap as well, so maximising his point score so far. Owen saying that was a good race, and BR4 apologising to BX Royal for a push. He said it didn't matter. He still got it. He still picked up a penalty, so it's his own fault. Or a poor result wouldn't have changed things. Raya-chan, BX Royal, Viking Dog, BR4, Marco, Mackie, Sick Boy, Owen Williams, then Leper, Zerbo, Moosh, Deck Paint and Lars, your sprint race results. So there'll be a small pause now while we just rebuild the lobby and race order for our 40-minute race with a custom grid, which will be the reverse of what you've just seen, of course, on screen. I've been commentating hard all weekend long, so I hope you'll forgive me if I take a quick break from the audio, and I will be back as our race begins. So then let's get back into it, shall we, as the race is about to get underway. It hasn't started yet, no panic, as there's just a little bit of practice and warm-up happening. They'll be selecting their strategy and tyres for the start. Will we see anyone try and run the soft tyre? I think it's going to be a medium and hard tyre run today. Whether that's going to be hards from the start, as I tend to see work out more often than mediums do, but I think it'd just be medium to hard, possibly even a medium soft strategy with the high deck that the drivers have experienced in practice. Let's talk you through the current championship standings then. Prior to the sprint race today, Mazda on 65 with Genesis on 47, thanks to Iggy, who was driving that as well as Maki Skirkin in the earlier round. Renault are on 36 with McLaren on 34, Ferrari 23, Peugeot 13, Jaguar 9, Lamborghini on 8, and I can't quite make out who was in 9th place. There isn't a ninth constructor, so all constructors have scored points to this stage, but we are just hanging on then, waiting for the race to resume. Get my screen organised as much as it matters, because there we go, it's only going to get cleared off very quickly. So that was Raikkonen. They were starting right from the very back of the race. Lars on pole for this rolling start, with deck paint in second, Mouchelot in third, and they will be hoping to hang on to that advantage for as long as possible. Look at that, deck paint choosing the soft tyres from the get-go, committing to an aggressive strategy. Rolling start it will be, and away they go then, down the long start-finish straight, and looking for a slipstream straight away. Lars defending to the inside just to try and weave around that potential move, but I don't think any of the front runners are going to challenge. A bit further back though, one of the Peugeots is going for a move on the Alfa Romeo, isn't quite getting there, as Mackies and Owen Williams continue their battle. Mackies goes long round the outside, looks like medium tyres for the majority of the grid here, as Owen Williams is hanging on, but Mackies with a great grip, and it's deck paint round, and the blue Mercedes from second place, who has gone round a contact as Owen tries to turn in. Mackies is already there at the apex into 3, and Lars has got the lead by himself. Raikkonen still at the tail of the field, but all round a long way goes Owen Williams once again. It's the Alfa Romeo of Lepper struggling on the inside. I think he's starting to let drivers through. Doesn't really want to get involved in this argy-bargy at the start of the race, but the Peugeot all over the place of Owen Williams, really struggling to get temperature into the tyres early doors. And the medium tyres not heating up any quicker than the softs seem to at the start of our sprint race. Side by side goes the Peugeot and the Alfa Romeo then down into turn 10 for the first time. There is Sick Boy in the sister Jaguar defending the distinct liveried McLaren on the inside as well. Raikkonen stelling way out of well out of all of this, and he's only picked up a place, I think, because of the Mercedes that has spun early doors. Viking going down and trying the inside move into the penultimate corner, completing it, but he'll be vulnerable into the next one. Deck paint is well off the pace then on the soft tyres. That is experiment utterly failed as a result of putting the soft tyres on. He finds himself dead last as they head down then all the way down into the first corner once again. Peugeot defending Peugeot defending on the inside. Lepper trying the outside move. Will they touch? Going through turn 3, not quite. But that is 8th place. Sick Boy fighting hard with the Huracan behind alongside of BR4. Side by side, they continue to battle on the way into turn 4, and that is a complete misjudgment from Sick Boy, who ends up all the way around the outside, losing places. Even Raikkonen, who started at the very back, will be able to challenge going down into turn 5, but Raikkonen playing this one very, very cautiously at the start, bringing those tyres in very gently and not getting too involved in all of this. Surely, boys, there's going to be disaster going through there in the Ferrari. Exit stage left of BX Royal. He was pinballed one car into another, into him, and he'll try and recover and at least stay in 12th position at this point. But medium tyres for the majority of the field, who are all over the shop, and there is a half-second penalty on the car for Lepper. I didn't see what that was for, but he'll be wanting not to pick up any further penalties by positioning the car such that Rayachan can't turn into a corner, and Rayachan into 10th place then without really making any kind of an overtaking attempt, just watching other cars have problems around him. Straddling the long yellow curb on the entry into the final corner will go the cars, and there's another accident. That's the Huracan all the way round, ghosted of Moosh moving down the order as well. And it has been absolute carnage these first few laps here of the feature race. The drivers, they're experienced enough to know that they can't win the race in the first 2 laps, but wow, what a move from BR4 as he dives down the inside of the Peugeot into turn 1, claims the racetrack, and with some authority. Viking Dog doing very, very well indeed, up to 5th place already, so he's managed to weave his way through all of that contact. He goes for a late move down into turn 4, and it's the Peugeot again really struggling. It's Owen Williams, can't get the nose of the car into the corners at all. Marco going for a run here. Viking Dog sees him at the very last second, and he's fishtailing it all the way out of turn 5. There's no grip on this circuit today. The sun is coming out, so hopefully it's going to improve matters for the drivers, but wow, first impressions of this feature race, it looked more like a sprint. Lars leads Zerbo, and BR4 on your picture now, heading down into turn 10. No one too greedy on the way in. Pole, fastest lap, and sprint runner Rayachan now into 8th position already, as there have just befallen so many other problems for the rest of the runners here. BX Royal is down into 12th. Deck Paint on the recovery and catching actually really well here. Now he's got in the rhythm on those soft tyres, but he's going to have to make hay and try a huge undercut. I don't know if he decides to change tactics from maybe a soft medium to a soft hard strategy. Last season drivers hated the hard tyres, and I don't know if this season is going to be any different. We're going to have a battle for the lead very shortly. We continue to have a battle for 4th place, as well as Marco is hounding the back of Viking Dog. That was not an intentional pun there, hounding and dog in the same sentence. It's just the way these things work when you're talking about driver names and chasing. 222 then of Zerbo, managing to get a lot more grip at the front end out of this Peugeot than his teammate at this stage. On the same tyres, on medium tyres here, and then things starting to settle down a little bit after a chaotic start to the race. There were already a few accusations and problems being mentioned in the driver chat, fairly politely, as always with Aero League Racing, but clearly some drivers feeling pretty aggrieved. Now Zerbo looking for that opportunity, and a big defence from Lars down the inside into turn 10. He will defend hard. Zerbo looking for the over-under, can't quite get the nose of the car through, and we'll have to try and stick with him and maybe launch a move into turn 1. It looks like Jaguar again suffering a lot of understeer. Maybe that will come into a neutral handling later on as he brings the fronts fully up to temperature. But the fastest lap so far is on board this Peugeot of Zerbo. Early doors, and a really good slipstream now from Zerbo. Surely it has to be. Just slightly missed timing his exit from the slipstream there. Tiniest of touches possibly. He'll get the nose ahead going into turn 1, try and sweep across with just a car's width on the inside. Again, really nice line into 2, but Lars fighting on, trying to hold on to this, but if he fights too hard, BR4 will be right with him, as the two at the front have slowed sufficiently, or BR4 has gone sufficiently quickly. Oh, down the inside, that is rude. Surely surely BR4 is going to have to back out of that one. Well, he actually goes for a second bite at the rear of that Jaguar. The Lamborghini looking incredibly aggressive here. Obviously BR4 feels he's got the pace above these drivers, but he can't make that kind of contact. That was a very speculative move. He goes for another really late move down into turn 6, 7 and 8, and that brings Viking Dog right on the outside of his offside. and he's trying to go down the inside, but BR4 possibly changing lanes here slightly. Still can't work out why the Lamborghini has got Hyundai on the livery. At least change that to Huracan. But here is Viking Dog then, squirreling around, trying to find some grip through 12. And we had a calm lap. I don't think that the calm laps are going to continue very well. So leading the field then, the Peugeot of Zerbo at this stage, as we head over the crest and back downhill towards turn 1. Lars defending heavily to the inside. He actually got slightly behind there, but he's going to run the long way round and just claim that apex to turn 2 once again. BR4 up ahead then, and into that second position, and now he can start looking towards building a gap and potentially reeling in Zerbo. Did Zerbo sandbag a bit after his sprint race went awry, or will these leaders actually be able to catch him fairly quickly? Viking Dog already going through those mediums. Would not be surprised if the hard tyre is not an option for the drivers. If they feel like they can't run the hard tyre, I would not be surprised at all to see 2 stoppers here in our feature race. So we will keep a close eye. Tiny tap of the brakes for the Mazda, and then running wide, so wide in fact that he picks up a half-second penalty, which he'll wait to pay all the way round to the next run. A big tap on the rear of the Jaguar. You would feel that fairness would dictate he would let that place go back, and I think he's trying to. It looks like Marco's going to go through the 2 of them again for the second race in succession. Through goes Marco, just waiting for these 2 to sort themselves out. I think Viking Dog might have to let Lars back if he's got a mind towards fairness, unless he felt that there was retribution to be paid to Lars. That felt like a slightly outside of the rules kind of a pass. Ryan is still waiting to clear these cars. I think he may decide to pit ahead of them just to clear them out of his way. I feel like his pace is much stronger than the group he's currently sitting behind, but he doesn't want to ruin his chances at a double podium tonight by going too aggressive. He is only, what, just under 6 seconds off the race lead. There is still time to make that progress and bring himself forward. Just needs to minimise the losses here. Another Jaguar looking defensive. That was Lars, sorry, looking defensive into 5. It looks like BR4 is getting close to the leader than Marco is getting to him. Let's have a quick look at that. Marco and Viking a little bit in their own battle, as our Swedish BR4 down through turn 10 is handing down the back of Zerbo, the Italian Peugeot driver. Viking had to pay the penalty that time. Lead Jaguar here of Lars is going to have a penalty next time round. So that will be, I think, a place at least for Ryan if he's patient. But you feel like this race far from run just yet. They try and run nose to tail, the 2 Jaguars try and draw them forwards, and Ryan is getting a good slipstream on the inside of the 2 Jaguars. Will he fancy his chances down into turn 1? He'll go between them. Oh, that is very dangerous, but managing to dispatch one on the outside, one on the inside after two successive corners. Ryan, he might have traded a little bit of paint with the Jaguars, but they were almost there as stopping points for him. They were preventing him from running off the circuit by their positioning. He split the difference, split the 2 Jaguars, who were, you have to say, a little bit clumsy to allow a Renault's width between the 2 of them as they tried to coordinate moves down the start-finish line and release the unpenalised and faster Jaguar of Sick Boy over Lars. And I think if they have another chance at something like that, they will be a little bit more careful going through and careful to the runner behind. But at the lead of the race, it is Zerbo from BR4 by less than a second now, and Marco also starting to catch. So really intriguing battle going to develop here. It's lap 8. We are 13 and a half minutes into a 40-minute race. So let's see how deep they can go on the mediums. I would have thought by lap 11 or 12, but who's that coming in the pits? That is Zerbo straight away off the mediums, and maybe he feels like the hard tyre window is open for him. He's done nearly 14 minutes, he's done 8 complete laps, so BR4 takes the lead. He'd only used about half his tank of fuel as well, so he won't need to brim it the tanks, because the later you stop here at Gran Turismo, the less fuel you need to put on, the less fuel time penalty you put on, because of the extended penalty it costs you to refuel the car. So your new order then on lap 9 is BR4, Marco, Viking, Owen Williams, Raya Chan now in 5th, Sick Boy in 6th, Lars Lepper, Mackies. We've got Deck Paint in 10th in the Mercedes. He's still on those soft tyres. He's waited to stop after the medium runner. BX Royal down in 11th with another penalty on the car. BX is not going to be enjoying this this trip to Barcelona. In 12th, Moosh, and then Zerbo coming out of the pits, and he has gone for the soft tyres, so medium soft, possibly medium, and that will bring an opportunity to anyone who feels like they're being held up. Perhaps like Raya Chan, for instance, might consider that strategy, medium soft medium. And a little look in the mirrors there from Owen Williams to see where Raya Chan currently sits. Well, Raya Chan has got tyres for days here. I think he could easily one-stop this one by the look of things. He needs to get himself to within the region of 15 minutes from the end. So 25 minutes will be his target on the mediums if he wants to use a one-stop soft run. This Renault very kind to its tyres. Some would say overpowered. The season long will be the judge of that. It's a little bit of a guessing game as to which car to choose and how the balance of power will take effect. Raya Chan has the lead going into turn 1. He was just ahead in the timing. He's had to take a slower run through turn 2 to the apex, and that allowed Owen to defend successfully. But now Raya Chan with better grip, good drive here. He's almost alongside going into 4. Be able to brake slightly later down the Peugeot, claim that early apex, and up into 4th place goes your sprint race winner. It was secured maximum points so far, 4th place. Now 7.5 seconds off the lead, still within range here of potential victory. We shall see as it works out, but Marco now is close to the Huracan, who has got a penalty. Marco should be able to get the Huracan, should he? It was only half a second off full throttle, but he's not able to launch one. We'll see if any of the leaders decide to defend that early pit stop by pitting now. We'll find out after this corner. Does anyone suddenly dart to the right? Not quite. Viking Dog still on target as well. Heading through then the next few corners, the rest of the field, no one pitting just yet. Yes, indeed, 6th place, Sick Boy is going in, but look at his front left. That has really been used heavily. So Sick Boy's gone for a pit stop. So has Deck Paint, who started on the softs. No surprise there. But again, seeming to have no luck at the start of this race, and it's hardly a gentle introduction to this league and this tier for Deck Paint. He's really struggled. Zerbo then, the only driver to have stopped so far, stopping early onto the mediums. I think he'll be able to do medium soft potentially, and that could be the strategy of choice for our field. I'll have a look as soon as I see Sick Boy exit the pits. We'll have a look to see what he has decided to fit to the car. the lead at the moment then. Still BR4 crabbing his way through the tricky turn 7 and 8. Car far from secure underneath him as Marco's got a really good slipstream. Might save a little bit of fuel. There's no point going for a low percentage move because BR4 has outbraked himself again into turn 10, running out of tyres, BR4, and running out of stopping power as he tries to turn left into the hairpin. What does Marco do? Does he decide to do the opposite here of whatever BR4 is doing? No, gonna stick with it and try and make the overtake on track. Top 3 stay out. Fully expecting the Renault to stay out. As is 5th place Owen. Lars pits. Mackey's declines, so do the next 4 runners. And Zerbo then ahead of Sick Boy. Sick Boy has put the softs on as well. Almost certain to run a medium soft now. Lars has gone into the pits. Medium tyres are on deck paint, but look at the penalty he's paying. That is really painful. Back to the lead then. We've got 13 runners, same number that started. Personal best time in the middle of the stint so far for Marco, 1:41.1, but Zerbo has a 1:40.4 on the timing beam as well, so he has obviously been very quick. There's a big wiggle from Marco, who's got the lead now ahead of BR4 and needs to create as big a gap as he can comfortably without causing an off-track excursion. He's got tyres, a big tyre advantage on the Lamborghini. He's always going to chew through those tyres in the Lambo. And, is that the sign then for BR4 to pit? He's reached half distance. So just half distance here, and that is kind of in no man's land for having to use a different compounder tyre. So really going to help him to go on either the hards for half of the race or 2 sets of softs. And he's going to try and hang on for a little bit longer. Remember, target 25 minutes to just hang on to a 1-stop here. He's going to try. It's a question of how much would you lose. Viking Dog has gone in the pits. How much would you lose as a result? I think Raikkonen will be in the best position possible to use those tyres for a 1-stop medium soft. Everybody else now is going to try and hang on, I think, to make it a 1-stop. Got a long stint to run. Mackey's has run out of tyres on the front left completely. So look on his braking zones to elongate, and his right-hand apex is to be rather difficult unless he shaves a huge amount of speed off as he did do there. He's losing out then from the pace to the Ferrari behind, who still has a little bit of tyre wear left. Maybe they'll feel that low on fuel, they'll get a 10th lap out of the softs and an extra couple of minutes than they did before. If they can just put that little bit below 3/4 of a tank, maybe half a tank will do it to the end at this point, so we shall see. Whoa, big moment for Zerbo, who's already got a penalty on the car. He's been pushing like crazy to pick up the fastest lap, and 3 laps in the 1:40s. Certainly very good going, but with a half-second penalty to pay, that's going to be outside of that. It's been in the 1:41s or 1:42s from here on in. Sick Boy in 9th, down the outside of Zerbo after the penalty. This is Viking Dog. He's come out on soft tyres. Long way to run on those soft tyres on a single set. But Lars has tried the hards. So Lars, let's have a look at that pace on his next lap, because he's had his in-lap and his out-lap 2:04, 2:05. And now we should see what kind of pace he can unlock on the hard tyres early on, and how much slower he will be. Raikkonen, Moosh in the pits to fulfill their single stop. I thought Raikkonen would go longer. Maybe he's not in the pits. Let's have a look. He is, confirm, in the pits as Rajan comes out into 8th position ahead of Viking Dog, and that's pretty important for the race. Viking Dog on older soft tyres is behind Rajan, so Rajan will get those tyres up to temperature as gently as possible to elongate their life. He's looking for probably 10 laps on them, maybe even he'll have to do 11. It depends how it works. It's really hard to calculate because obviously it depends on how fast the leader is running, and we saw how he only managed himself to make sure it finished on the scheduled 9th lap in the sprint race by about 8 seconds, I think, overall. Marco then pits from the lead of the race. I wonder if Owen Williams is going to do the same. He's looking tight on the way in, and he is indeed coming in. Here is BX Royal then, with another penalty to pay. It's been a ragged run in the Ferrari for BX so far, and through into the pit lane we go. Mackey's pit, so it should be the last of the pit stops, I think, now, and the Alfa Romeo of Leper goes in as well. So Sick Boy, he made an early stop. He's gone a long way to run on the soft tyres, but Sick Boy will take the lead in the Jaguar, with Zerbo, who was right up there as well earlier on. Zerbo just behind him in second, who has managed to pass Marco. There's no way on earth Zerbo's getting these softs safely home. I think there'll be another pit stop for Zerbo. Haven't even reached the 15 minutes to go. We haven't even got the sprint race length left to run, and he's already down into about 30% tyre wear remaining. So Rajan in 4th position, taking it steady. He's got to be in with a good position here. He's got that gap down to the leader to 6.9 seconds. Sick Boy will be doing a lot of tyre saving if he isn't going to go for a 2-stop. Well, I think he might do, given that he's got a personal best time 2 laps ago. Let's have a quick look at those hard tyres then, how they are working out for Lars. 144.7, so at that kind of pace delta, it's going to be a very difficult night's work for him. And you can see the soft runners, Mackey's just driving straight past him like he's in a different category of racing. See how Leper goes here. Brand new softs against heated up hard tyres at least. Really show up on the exit of the final corner, but he's already got him in the braking zone for turn 10. That is a very big difference. So Lars is experimenting here. He'll come forwards towards the end of the race. What is he, 35 seconds nearly away from the lead. That is held currently by Sick Boy. 3-second lead for Sick Boy in the Jaguar, but he's got quite a job ahead of him. Zerbo certainly going to 2-stop this. Look at those tyres already. Marco, strong position for the distinct McLaren of Marco. 3rd place. And Viking Dog in 4th, with Rajan catching him very well indeed, but not catching the leader at the moment. VR4 in 6th, with Owen Williams in 7th, kind of on the round a little bit. Tighter battle going on for 9th place right now. They are 33 seconds off the lead, and if you imagine that Sick Boy possibly and Zerbo certainly are going to be pitting for a splash and dash, quick change of tyres, maybe a tiny bit of fuel, then they will be close to this 9th, 10th, 11th place battle when they come out. Lars on the hard tyres, even slower that last lap, letting everybody past at 1:45.4. 32 seconds off the lead, so he's actually gained on the leader. He can't get the car into turn 10 comfortably at all. Marco now in the lead because Sick Boy has pitted, as has Zerbo. Marco takes the lead then, and he is the favourite at the moment, you have to say. Viking Dog in second, 2.3 seconds away, and Rayachan 3.3 seconds away. Very strong contenders too. I think they will come together towards the end of the race by their race pace of the night so far. But about 11.5 minutes to run on our clock. Mackey's getting a bit of pace here, as Zerbo did come out in 8th. Promoted Mackey's, so Zerbo came out between Mackey's and Leper. Sick Boy on the place. He's come out quite late here on the Jaguar, quite low down into 11th place. Considering he was fighting with Zerbo, that was close, and it looked like there for a moment Deck Paint getting a little bit of paint shaved off once again. It's had a really problematic night here. The boys have not been particularly kind to our newcomer, Deck Paint. They haven't let him in easy at all. Down the inside tries Moosh. That's a successful move, just about made it to the exit curb. Tricky running there from him. Deck Paint then down to 12th, and Lars managed a 44.3 that time on the hard tyres. Marco managing the gap, 2.6 seconds at the moment. Viking Dog is in second, but has less than a second behind him to third place Rayachan, who did so well in the sprint. The gaps have opened up a fair amount now on the racetrack. Keep my eyes on that, but we've got quite a tight battle going on at the moment further down the field. Let's head back down there. Let's see if we get an overtake on its way. I say it's between 11th and 12th, but it's actually Moosh who's just past Deck Paint. Moosh, newish softs, Deck Paint, similar age, mediums, similar state mediums I should say. Tail getting very happy for Deck Paint, coming out of 5. To modulate the throttle a lot, coming through 8. Again, understeer to the outside of 9. That's quite normal. Profile of turn 9. This split car's out to the outside. Slower sector at that time for Deck Paint. Lars at the moment in 13th position, and he's losing time to the leader very quickly. The X-Royal has the fastest lap of the race at the moment. The Mazda sounds more like a Ferrari than the Ferrari does on the racetrack. The R8 Vision GT3, great looking machine. Viking will be relatively happy here, but I think be kicking himself to lose the opportunity for a win if he can't battle for it at the end. While Iggy is away, could do with maximising those points. Didn't have a great sprint race by his high standards, of course, I'm talking. Rayachan and Viking Dog not really making progress forward. They stopped earlier, I think, than Marco. So Marco's still the very hot favourite here to take the win. Kick of gravel won't help the tyre wear. Credentials on the Renault. Touch of oversteer into the final corner perhaps. unless it was just the tracking camera that made it look like we were going sideways. The front three, huge gap, 7.4 seconds to BR4, and then comes the rest of the field, some distance back from them. I guess you could say the front five having a very strong race here. So the hard tyres at the moment look to be between 4 and 5 seconds a lap slower than the softs. Obviously that gap will drop towards the end of the race, but I think the damage will be done for Lars. And the rest of the drivers, when they watch this back, will be very pleased to see someone try the hard tyres and confirm that even on a high deg circuit like Catalonia, it's still not a valid tyre at all. Because after all, I think Sick Boy is going to finish ahead, and he has 2 stops. And now he's driving around Lepp around the outside of turn 4, gets the inside into 5. Car 76. Nice clean overtake. He was a little bit rough around the outside of the track, but he'd already claimed the place, so there's no argument there for getting the advantage or making a pass while off track. He's got Zerbo up the road, who also is looking a little bit racy here, trying to look for an opportunity past the Genesis of Mackey's, who defends slightly, gets a very early turn in going, and ends up getting a little touch, I think, from the Peugeot behind. You could do that in GT racing and get away with it. Can't do it too often, and you certainly can't do it to action a pass, because stewards will dim view. Zerbo missing the apex and losing out on his launch there as a result. He's getting a little bit greedy on speed entry into the final corner. Didn't pay off. He's managed to catch back a little using the toe, but if he'd have absolutely nailed that final corner, there's a strong chance he would have been on terms going into turn 1 for the 21st time. So 4.5 minutes remain of our race. Is that going to be 2 laps or 3? Here is Zerbo trying to go the long way around turn 4. Mackey's with a good defence, just using the racing line as a defensive line. Zerbo, speculative move on the inside, forces Mackey's to give up the apex slightly, and that's a very well positioned and hard fought tactical pass by Zerbo. Really set Mackey's up for that one into turn 2, and it paid off into 5. So that's one way to get past your rival, is to force them to defend and put them on the less grippy side of the racetrack. So 222 ahead into 7th, slow away from 9, but has the inside line into 10. Mackey's getting lively on the rear of the car as the soft tyres are struggling, you have to say. And looks like Raya-chan has taken Viking Dog up ahead while we're watching those 2 battles. I think that must be a mistake from Viking Dog, because Raya-chan has unlocked some pace now and has gapped Viking Dog considerably. So whether Viking had himself a penalty to pay, or whether he went off track momentarily, Raya-chan is through, 5.2 seconds away from the lead. It may be too late to try and get the move done. He's into the red on the fuel. He's well into the red on the tyres. How's Marco doing on each? Well, actually, Marco is managing this stint really well. He stopped later, I believe, than Raya-chan. And Raya-chan's suffering higher wear, I think, than expected on the softs here, compared to his run in the sprint race. He did try, I think, to get 11 laps out of those softs to the end, and he may run a little bit low on fuel here to the end. There are 2.5 minutes remaining. I'm sure that'll be a lap after this one, maybe 2. We'll see what time is on the clock when Marco crosses the start-finish line around now. That is Well, it's over 2 minutes remaining, so there will be two further laps. This one and one more for Marco, as long as he doesn't slow drastically. And I think that on the fuel saving, that's really going to be problematic for Raikkonen. Viking may be able to get that place back, but he's got nothing on his front left. See already, I think that Raikkonen is starting to try and save fuel here. He's just worked out how much of the race is left, I think. You can't see what fuel mode they've put the car into. So, unfortunately, I have to find out with the checkered flag how they were working. Raikkonen, he'll be on fumes by the end, if not in low power mode. Through the long turn 9, and yeah, you can see that Raikkonen is slow and is throttling back. Viking Dog back into second position then. So for a brief moment, Raikkonen had that second, but I think maybe getting a little bit greedy on fuel wear, or didn't put enough in at the pit stop perhaps. He'll try and lift and coast it to the end, but Marco crossed the line then to start his final lap. That means everyone behind him will finish this lap at this point. Well, I say that, but actually those after Owen Williams' 5th place, so BX Royal may end up running this one and finishing now. Let's see, the time has ticked over. BX Royal confirmed then in 6th position, so the race is over for the tail of the field. And this really curious way that they calculate the racing. Zerbo in 7th, Mackey's in 8th, Sick Boy completes in 9th position. That is 10th for Lepper. Moosh in 11th with the bend, I think, successfully from Deck Paint. Finish the race off. Rounding the final corner, Deck Paint right on his tail. Could be a photo finish. It is Moosh over Deck Paint. Lars coming home just those 1 minute 44, 1 minute 45 times, but finishing out the race then in absolute style is Marco. Viking Dog has gapped Raikkonen, who is just trying to get a podium, I think. Just trying to bring this car home and get a podium at the end of it. Marco, with 2 corners left to run. Marco will get the big points tonight. He's got fuel and tyres remaining to run this one comfortably to the end at full power. And coming out of the final corner to take the checkered flag, Marco wins the feature race of round 2 here at Catalunya. Viking Dog will complete a successful podium for some good points on the board. He gets that 2nd place. Raikkonen gets the car home on fumes into 3rd and completes a double podium. And BR4 has the fastest, BX Royal has the fastest laps currently. BR4 will get 4th, will he? Yes. And Owen Williams the last to cross the line then. BX Royal in 6th gets the fastest lap of the race, but Marco is your winner of the feature race. Very interesting race overall. Mackey's complaining about general driving standards, and Lars is agreeing, unfortunately. BR4 hit the inside barrier in the pit lane, he says. Absolutely gutting for him. So there are your finishing order. Marco and Viking Dog, the Italians on top again, and will lead our championship, I'm sure, after round 2. Raikkonen in 3rd, BR4, Owen Williams, BX Royal, Zerbo and Mackey's the top 8, scoring heavily. BX Royal with the fastest lap. Then we have Sick Boy, Lepper, Moosh, Deck Paint and Lars, your 13 finishers for this round 2 and feature race of our 9th season. 6 races to go. in the championship. We will see you around the same time next week. Don't forget to like the video on your way out, and make sure you're following everybody on socials at Aero League Racing, at Webo Red 5 for my commentary, and from all of us here at the top tier, we will catch you on the next race day.